So, Steve, what's going on?
Oh, I'm so depressed and listless, Paula.
Really?
What do I do?
You don't look depressed and listless.
No, I'm not. This is in our In Your Health segment. This is Paula Shaw. Paula's a transition specialist. See, when you go into retirement, you have this whole life where you've got an identity while you're working, and then you up and retire, and it all changes. You know what? You think you have all this freedom, but what do you do now? What do you do with your time? What is your identity? And this is why we have Paula here. Paula is a radio show host of Transition Radio. She's written this wonderful best-selling book called Grief, When Will the Pain Ever End? And she's here to help us with that retirement transition. Paula, so tell us about some of the things that people are dealing with in retirement.
It's a great question, and I'm so glad that you want to talk about this, Steve, because so many people just think of retirement as this panacea, you know, this, oh, I can't wait till I'm free to do what I want to. I don't have to get up at the crack of dawn. I don't have to fight the traffic anymore. I'll have time to read those books I want to read or play with the grandchildren more. But the truth is, even though there's an old saying that we're human beings, not human doings, we are very caught up in what we do. We're supposed to know and love ourselves for who we are, not necessarily for what we do. But we're a culture, when you're at a cocktail party, people don't say, "Hi, Steve. How do you feel about yourself? What's your life like? What are the challenges that you're dealing with?" No, what they say is, "So what do you do?" And from there, we go on, right? And we tell them about what we do, and that is usually tied into our career identity. When you retire, that's gone. That goes away.
So how does it affect people? What are the the side effects of not being prepared for moving into retirement?
Yeah, they can be huge, and they're varied. For some people, it might show up as depression. For others, anxiety, fearfulness. Some people overeat. Some people drink too much. Some people get into erratic behaviors that they don't even understand. And a lot of it is just from this base of, who am I and why am I here and what do I do now that matters?
So the big question is, what do people do? I mean, a lot of people, as a financial professional, I see people, they walk in June and they just got off this beautiful trip and there's I'm retiring tomorrow. I told my boss I'm out of here. How do people get prepared for this?
Well, it is important to acknowledge that there are some great parts of retirement. There are, like the travel, like the freedom, that can be wonderful. But if we don't have structure in our day, we feel listless. And we lose that structure and that daily routine when we retire. So for some people, that actually can end up showing up as depression or anxiety. It can also end up in lots of feelings of, well, what do I do with myself today? And maybe I just end up doing something that's self-destructive because I don't feel like I matter anymore.
You know what, my biggest thing, and I think it's kind of funny that you say that because I'm a person that gets up early and is very, very planned and structured. So it takes me about 2 days to go on vacation after I'm on vacation, just because I've got to create some sort of structure there to do things, and I can see myself falling into that for somebody that's always involved in running businesses and stuff.
Yes.
So the big question is, what steps should people take in order to work themselves into retirement? How do they go about dealing with that?
Well, I think it's an important point that you're talking about what steps should you take. You do need to think about it ahead of time. You do need to create something that you want to do and pretty much on a daily basis that feels good to you and that has meaning, so that you don't fall into any self-destructive patterns or feelings that are not self-loving, that are just critical and debilitating.
So, like, for example, mapping out the type of things that you want to do when you're going to retire. So giving them a visual for what retirement looks for them, that besides going on the trips, it's like, okay, here's what I want to do. I'm going to be involved with this charity or that charity. Or, you know what, I'm going to start going to the gym every day or go golfing 3 times a week, get involved with the church. Or is it one of those types of creating a structure?
I think that's a fabulous idea in the pre-planning. Once you're there, I have a few tips I'd love to share with the viewers that I think could be really helpful. So the first one is be present. And I know that sounds a little bit trite, but most of the misery in our lives comes from either these little trips we take to the past, thinking about the past, and oftentimes that brings up regret and remorse, or we take a little foray into the future and get all worried about what might happen, and that oftentimes is very anxiety producing. But right here, right now, things are usually okay. They're really good. So, and right here, right now is the only place where we actually fully experience our lives and our aliveness. So being present, I think, is really, really huge, really important.
Is there any skills that people can do or any exercises to get people to start thinking that? Because everybody deals with that, their junk that they have in the past, and you know, they go, oh my God, how if I don't make this amount of money, I won't be able to get my kids into college. Everybody deals with that.
Yes. In the beginning, it has to be a conscious effort to pull yourself into the present. Because you're right, everybody tends to do it. Most of our bodies and minds are never in the same place at the same time. One of the tips I was going to also give is very helpful in bringing you into the present. And that's what I call making gratitude lists or taking gratitude walks. Because gratitude is a really high vibration state. And so if you just make a list of everything that exists right here, right now, that you're grateful for, that can really be helpful and also really raise your attitude and take you into a much more positive state. A gratitude walk is a great idea because, you know, at this point in life, it's move it or lose it. So, or use it or lose it.
That's true.
And maybe both. Move it and use it or lose it. And when you're walking, just looking at look around you. Maybe you're grateful that that flower bloomed and it's so beautiful, or that the temperature's perfect today, or the sky's blue. There are always many, many things to be grateful for, and that automatically shifts you into a higher state.
That's wonderful, Paula. Thank you so much for being with us today.
You're
if you would like to connect with Paula Shaw, go to the Silver-Haired Tsunami website. If you'd like to get this book, it's a wonderful book. It's Grief, When Will the Pain Ever End? It talks about things, not just about losing somebody, but possibly losing a job or a pet or something like that. We all have grief. It's how to deal with it. So go to the Silver-Haired Tsunami website. There's a lot of different exercises that Paula has on there that you can connect with her Facebook, with her YouTube page, and so on. Again, thank you for being with the show.
Thank you, Steve. It was wonderful to be here.
Next up, we have Bruce McPherson talking to us about the myths and misconceptions about reverse mortgages.